Good day. My name is Brian Smith. I'm a student at Full Sail University, and I'm working for my mobile gaming master's, working on my capstone project called War I Flying Circus, where you fly for family, fly for country, fly for prestige, die and be forgotten. And I'm going to take you through the latest milestone. And this milestone is all about just simply making the user interface look pretty. So really no functional kind of changes to the War I Flying Circus, but I made the buttons look pretty and the sliders look pretty, and really not just pretty, but working on the affordance for these so that it looks like you're physically pushing buttons and you know what a slider is. Yeah, I play tested it with a few people, and it's like, well, I don't like it, but I know what to do with it, right? So I'm getting closer to the affordance, which I'm really looking for, and I can always clean up the graphics a bit as I perfect this business. And I'm going to take you through not only the how it works in the game, because really the game hasn't changed any or just a little bit, but I'm going to take you through the entire pipeline for the buttons, which is including Inkscape, Blender, GIMP, and then into Unity. So I'll take you through that whole pipeline. All right, so I'm going to, the first thing is I'm going to demonstrate how this all works on my iPhone. So I've got my iPhone up here and running. And so I'm going to start sharing from this screen, share the content screen. And I want to turn the microphone off. And we're going to start the broadcast. One moment, please. All right. That's looking good. And so there's War I Flying Circus up and running. Now, I can hear it in my ear, so I'm going to turn off. We're going to get out of here, get back to home, and I'm going to go into settings. And in fact, in the settings, they made a lot of changes, very interesting kinds of changes. What I did is I had over, I don't know if you can see this cursor, maybe not, but I've integrated the buttons into the actual slider. So that slider is the engine noise there. And where I used to have that airplane icon and the volume icon, I used to have that off to the left of the slider. I now have that built into, so it is the slider. Same thing then with the music volume, and then also with the special effects, clicks and sounds and machine gun noises. And then the vibration. So you can see here, again, it's integrated into the settings so that when vibration is turned off, it's the button is up. It's not highlighted. It's not illuminated from within. The smooth animations, same kind of thing. And then the sound master controls all the different sounds. It also controls the vibration, and it just will grade those things out so that you know that you can't even. I'm sliding, on the screen here, and I can't even move those sliders because they are inactive. So there's the languages that I currently have. And so it's all kind of working better than it was before, because before it was just using Unity's standard load for its user interface, which is fine but not pretty. And now what I've done is I've integrated in my glass illuminated buttons into Unity so that it's actually, you can actually see what's going on. So, and there's a little bit of highlighting. I don't know if it depends, like I'm going to go with the back button, which is in the lower right. So look at the back button. I'm going to click that. And so there's a little bit of highlighting to indicate, yes, okay, I want to do this. And then you move on to the where you want to go. So here's the main game slider. So I'm moving that left and right. And so if I end up on balloon busting and then click the play, here we are in the balloon busting. And so, basically, and then, so all the sliders have been updated with this crosshair kind of model. And there's the speed on the left, and then I can select the maneuvers and taka, close range hit, and we do some damage to the balloon. So I'm going to surrender because we're not playing the game. It's again, nothing functional, but it's just the sliders are all changed. So nothing is really different. I mean, for the pass and play and for the network play, all the buttons have been updated. The ground school, nothing is there yet, but buttons are all updated there. So that's the major change, is just making it pretty, increasing the affordance of these buttons. Before they were just flat black, and now they actually have some depth to them. And so let me take you, let me show you, stop that share. Let me show you the process involved in making that all happen. And again, this is a little bit new for me. Inkscape I've used in the past. Largely, I use Inkscape for converting those two-dimensional black and white or black and transparent icons that I was using as placeholders, converting them into an SVG, the scalable vector graphics. Then I would import that into Blender. Blender is brand new work for me. I've never worked in Blender before, so there's a lot of learning curve there. But in Blender, then I make it into a 3D kind of thing, and so it actually gives it some depth and some realism there. And so I render then all the different buttons in Blender, and it's quite a process. And then from after the output of Blender is a PNG, like between 3 and 5 megabyte PNG, and so I've got to crunch that down. So I go into GIMP and get it down to something that is a reasonable size, from about 50 kilobytes to around 128, depending upon the size of the image that I'm working with. And then once I've got that PNG shrunk down, then it's an import into Unity and make it into a sprite, and then work with it inside of Unity, as you saw kind of the output there. So let me take you through that. I'm going to share my screen now on my desktop, because we're going to a lot of different kinds of applications. Okay, and let's get started with Inkscape. So like I said, I've been to Inkscape before, but it really is kind of a very simple. I'm going to work with this button black. Obviously, I've been here before, right? So this is the original PNG image that I downloaded off the internet, and I give the credits for. I'm going to convert that into a scalable vector graphic, and then I'm going to import that into Blender. And then with Blender, I've got two different button settings: the off button, which is the everything is up or higher, and then the on button, where it's lower, press, and illuminated. And so I turn up the light from the illumination of the glass bulb inside the button. And so that's generating all those. So but basically, here it is in Inkscape. It's just simple as a drag and a drop there, and then it's a tracing of that bitmap. So trace the bitmap, and I found just in the past I've done multiple scans when I've been working with my own hand drawing, where you've got some grayscale involved. I didn't really need that because it's just black and the transparent background. So I just did the single scan, and you just apply that, and it works away at it. Oddly, for whatever reason, Inkscape likes to put the thing that it puts the new thing in the front, which is fine, but I've got to delete the old thing, move it there, and then just move that back up into here inside that page. And then it's as simple as doing a file, save as, and then I'm going to create it, save it as an SVG, that's scalable vector graphics. I'm not going to do that. So that's the Inkscape part. Then in Blender, it's a file, and then import the scalable vectors graphics. So I'm going to find then that button back SVG, and I'm going to import that into Blender. And Blender, it does some funny things with that. It puts it inside of a collection, so I got to grab the path and drag that out. I don't know if I want to go through all the detail here, but there is the graphic, and so then it's just a matter of scaling it. And then I've got to take that object and convert it into a mesh. Oh, sorry, I've got to select that object and then convert it into a mesh. And then once it's a mesh, then we're going to edit the object, find one of the faces on that object, and then I've got to find all the other faces that are similar to that kind of face. So select similar face, flat, smooth there. Now that I've got that, I can extrude, which is E, and there I can now have this three-dimensional representation of that. And again, I'm not going to go through that, but it's basically then centering it onto this image here and then rendering it. So once I get it onto my, it took quite a while to get the right settings for this button and the glass, and I tried different versions of it. I had hexagonal, I had more brass rather than steel, and working with friends and family, and then also too with Professor Lees, kind of narrowed down and worked towards this illuminated glass button. But from there, then it's just rendering. And so that did this for all the, I forget how many buttons I have. It's close to 30 buttons, and for 2 different positions. So this took quite a bit of time, just click, drag, clicking, drag, dragging, and going through the whole pipeline. I've got it all written down, my pipeline process. Here's the high technology that I'm using. So it's my notes about settings and what to do in case I do this 1 month from now, that I can remember what I did. And then this is just rendering the image, and then it's just as simple as image, save as the PNG. So this will create it as a really big PNG, lots of detail to it. So I've got to crunch that down, and that's why I throw it into GIMP. And I'm not going to do too much into GIMP, but basically I'll take that, the output of those are the 2 different versions, and open that with GIMP. And GIMP's simple enough to work with. And basically had the image, and it would have some extra white space around it or transparent space around it. So I would do the image, and then I would crop to the content, and then I'd do image, and then scale the image, and I'd scale it down to 256 by some kind of even number, so I can help Unity with the compression, and then save that. So it's the GIMP, and then now I've got the image, these 2 button images, as these PNGs, relatively crunched down in terms of size, and then it's a matter of bringing them into Unity. And so over here, I've got all my different icons. You can see I've been dragging those in and using them. So it's the on version, the off version, and then those pairs into Unity. And so then it's a matter of finding those buttons, like on the main screen here. I've got the store, like that, and you can see there it's just it basically is just in Unity. Well, I've got to first convert all those buttons into sprites, but once I do that, then it's just a matter of drag and drop in Unity and use that. So a little bit more involved with the settings because of using the buttons as sliders, and I'm also using the buttons as pull downs for the language in the drop box. Also using the iconics, or the buttons for the on-off toggles, which is different kinds of things. So a little bit different dragging and dropping in Unity, but largely using the same pipeline to get then all these buttons available. Wow, so that was it. It took me a lot of time in terms of the Blender work to just be able to create 3-dimensional circles and hexagons and all the different kinds of materials, and trying to find the materials that work, and palette schemes, and then reaching out and letting people give me some good solid advice about what they think that works and doesn't work, and then settling on the illuminated glass, and then going through this whole pipeline, kind of developing the pipeline and putting that all together, and then the integration into Unity. So a lot of work, a lot of good work, fun stuff. I mean, I really enjoy it. But yeah, no code changes in Unity other than some very minor kinds of things. So let me know what you think about that, cards and letters. And I'm going to stop the sharing here. And so again, let me know about if there's because this user interface business, I mean, I really want that affordance. That's the primary goal. I want people to know these are buttons. I want people to know these are sliders, and I can make things prettier over time. So if I know you're not a pretty kind of, so I was about to say, you're not a pretty kind of guy. You're not an individual. You're like me. You're an individual who doesn't quite recognize user interface beauty. And but if you see something that that just doesn't work right, or doesn't have the right affordance, that's what I want to hear. I'll hear from other people about, oh, that's just the wrong color combinations. It's not the right era. It's those things, and I can always move towards something that is better that way. But mechanically, I wanted to take you through all the different work for this milestone. So thank you.